another kind of story altogether.
Who's feeling young now?
For nearly 20 million local and state employees, in particular, underfunded pensions aren't just making their own futures uncertain. They're threatening the very solvency of cities and states across the country. If recently bankrupt Detroit gets the headlines, the 300,000 citizens of Stockton, California know all too well the pain of the Motor City. Before Detroit, Stockton was the largest municipality to declare bankruptcy in 2012.
We are now pretty much the poster city of what not to be. We are in the top 10. We're in the top 10 most miserable city list. We're in the top 10 of the highest foreclosure list. We're in the top 10 of the highest unemployment list. We're in the top 10 of the highest violent crime list.
Paying off pensions and lifetime retiree health care benefits have clearly played a major role in keeping Stockton on those undesirable lists.
Stockton, like a number of other cities in this country, took on large obligations that they didn't fund. They took on debt in order to build some new facilities downtown, but they also made very big promises to employees, mostly for health care and for pensions, that they didn't put enough money away for.
A lot of municipalities are facing bankruptcy. The same reason that a lot of homeowners are finding that they're underwater in their homes that they could have never afford. Wall Street firms gave them a blank check and said, hey, you have an unlimited credit line, go and spend it.
Yeah, but it's always been home. We're approaching right now something I'm not a fan of, which is the Stockton Marina. Not because I'm against people with yachts, but we have a community with 20% unemployment, 30% poverty, record homicide rates, 86% of your kids not reading at grade level. There's other things you could use public money for than a marina for yachts. Who in Stockton has a yacht? I don't know anybody with a yacht. Maybe I need new friends.
23-year-old Michael Tubbs isn't necessarily interested in making new friends. He's interested in making a difference.
I just don't think there are priorities for a community with all these other pressing issues. It's like putting lipstick on a pig almost.
That's why the recent Stanford University graduate returned home to the bankrupt city of Stockton, where, at 22, he became the youngest councilman in the city's history.
Councilmember Tubbs?
Happily here.
And while he's happy to serve the city he calls home, he isn't happy about the problems Stockton faces.
The recession, the mortgage meltdown, spending. And then we issued bonds. When those bonds were tied to our general fund, the projections were we're going to keep growing at 5 to 10% every year for the next 20 years. And it didn't happen. All that came crumbling down at the same time.
Crumbling down for Stockton meant drastic reductions in essential city services.
So before bankruptcy, the city just cut. We cut police and fire by 20% for 3 straight years or something very close to that. We went to the lowest officers per capita for a city this size in the nation.
Cities have services that they provide to their citizens. Most of their money goes to police and fire and employee compensation and benefits. And they make promises for future payments to those people. At the same time, they've got obligations that they're providing to their citizens. When they're unable to meet both obligations, they start to cut back on current services rather than on those retirement benefits or the debt service.
So if we had declared bankruptcy, you would see trash everywhere. But we declared bankruptcy to save the bare minimum services we had at that point.
I think you're doing a great job, and this is opinions.
But the bare minimum doesn't sit too well with the citizens of Stockton.
We got robbers coming from the Bay Area to come and steal here in Stockton. Say there's no cops there. How long is this going to continue?
How do you fight crime if you have nothing for these children to do out here? My kids sit in the house. You took the water slide down, put a shopping center. You took the skating rink and made in-shape bigger. What do you have out here for these kids to do other than statistics of crime?
Maybe this person's a really hard worker. Maybe this person has a hard life.
For Michael, one way of keeping the kids from becoming statistics, like his own cousin who was murdered, is to encourage a love of learning.
We're going to read through our notes and figure out where the themes of the biography you were right.
Which is why the part-time councilman is also a full-time teacher.
Pack up. Growing up in Stockton definitely had its challenges. There was times my mom wouldn't let me go outside and play. There was churches, I played basketball, there was a lot of summer activities. A lot of those things have been scaled back or cut.
These issues that most affect our families and friends were homicides, incarceration, and school dropouts.
We're still paying on it.
Taking on Stockton's future means having to make some difficult decisions for Stockton's present, like eliminating retiree health care.
It's a cruel outcome. So you have employees in Stockton, the employee goes on into retirement, the payments start to be made a bit, and then all of a sudden Stockton declares bankruptcy and eliminates retiree health care. And those employees who had counted on those premiums being paid by the city are out cold at that moment.
Still, the city of Stockton has refused to touch pensions.
Well, pensions are important because people dedicate a lot of their working hours of life to their job. And in my opinion, a good society doesn't get rid of people once they're done being of productive use because they're retired. I have a meeting with the city manager. There has to be some sort of reform of the pension system. We want to make sure it's available not just for this generation, but the generation after that. My generation, the generation after that.
Tonight you are going to vote on an increase in our sales tax.
But saving pensions means the money has to be found elsewhere, such as a tax increase that would push sales taxes to 9%, among the highest in the country.
Council members, you represent a community that has one of the highest poverty rates in the nation. You know that this tax will affect your communities and they have no way to absorb it.
And many states, like cities, are on the brink of a pension-fueled fiscal disaster.
Pensions can be a wonderful way for people to have retirement security. The problem is not pensions in and of themselves, it's the governance of those plans.
And good governance requires good math. But many pension funds have relied on bad math, projecting high investment returns that simply don't match up with a more volatile reality.
So Shakespeare said, first shoot the lawyers. What he should have said is first shoot the actuaries and the accountants, because they have been used, really manipulated the accounting for pensions at the state and local level, so that we have lots of unfunded pensions. This is really a crime, a sin. You know, have people who put their lives at risk, you promise them a retirement, and then you're reneging on that. I mean, that is immoral.